Hello everyone and welcome to another video and welcome to the luxury subcompact crossover, which is the Lexus UX 200. So in today's video I'm going to be showing you all the interiors, the exteriors, and we'll be going on a short drive in this Lexus UX 200. Before we move forward, please consider subscribing to my channel by clicking the bell icon so that you never miss any video updates from my channel. Now it's a very windy day today, so you may sort of find the audio quality to be a little on the lower side and there'll be a lot of wind noise, but I apologize for that. Now starting off from the front, so this particular model is a Lexus UX 200 F Sport. So you get this signature Lexus grille out here, and then this is sort of curved in like two directions, and then this is like an intermeshed grille and then big Lexus logo. Then you get an LED headlight cluster, and then these are LED DRLs, the arrow shaped, again signature Lexus style DRLs, and then the LED headlight cluster, and these are dynamic LED headlights at the bottom again. Now notice there is also a lot of chrome surround around these grills, but that chrome is actually, now I don't know if it's a chrome, but it's a shiny trim that they use, which is in black color, and it's got a golden tint and also like flakes, which actually shine. So this is around the main grille, and also out here on the side this sort of trim bit that they've given, and then there is this these lines that go on the trim, and then there is behind a plastic which has been put, so this is not even open, so it's like just there. So again, that also has the same black and golden tint around it, and then there are lights at the bottom. So there is one fog lamp and there is one on the side, on both the sides. So these are the cornering lights, so they are there on the side and they work actually pretty well at night. So now continuing on the side, you get aluminum 18-inch rims, and these are run flat tires, and then again an F Sport badging, and this thick body cladding that you see, it's actually pretty thick, so that you don't damage the side fenders when you are going around, and also at the bottom. And also these claddings are actually super thick, when I show you from the side doors, they are actually like this thick. It's pretty thick. And also the car actually looks very, very stylish from the side, and then you get this triple colored, so there's a black color, white color, and a chrome that goes on the middle and the side mirrors, which are power foldable, and also they are power adjustable. Smart keyless entry doors. The window actually just narrows down in the back, and then there is a chrome surround around the windows, and then there are also roof railings which are silver colored, and then small spoiler that you get, but it's a very gentle one, and pretty much a flat one. And then these rear tail lights, but they are aerodynamic tail lights. So the drag coefficient of this particular UX 200 is 0.33. so drag coefficient is something which is in automotive world, it's a term which denotes how flowy the car is, aerodynamic. So a 0.33 is actually a very good number, and it's actually a very aerodynamic car, which is why you see a lot of curves out here. And then these lights are also shaped in that airflow pattern where it will go from the side, and which is why the tail lights are in a pointed fashion. Now in the back, let me come straight to these headlights, because this car looks absolutely beautiful from the back, especially at night, because of this light bar. Now the tail light cluster is actually a mixture of halogen and LED. It's just that this bar which goes continuously from one end to the other, and this light bar is actually made up of 120 LEDs, and in the center it thins out to almost 3 millimeters, and trust me, at night it just looks so good. And then this is what I was mentioning, these tail lights are angled, so the airflow comes from the side and then flows from here, so it's channeled in the back, which is why the shape is a little bit curved from in the headlights also, and which is why it's a little angular. Now continuing at the bottom, you would find these Lexus badging and also the UX 200, and at the bottom there is a thick plastic bumper. Now I'm not too sure about this, because the bumper is quite thick if I was to show you from the side when you see. And at the bottom again you would see this dark chrome, which is again a golden tint, and some reflectors on both the sides with the fog lights in the back also, and a single exhaust which is just normally sticking out. In terms of the visibility is pretty alright, but it's like a letterbox, you know, because the car actually tapers from the back, and then you can see the rear glass is also at an angle, and which is why the visibility drops a little. Now when it comes to the boot space, the Lexus UX actually doesn't do quite well. You get 321 liters of boot space, and actually the boot space is quite raised up. And there are also scruff plates out here, and there is no lid, but it's just easy to slide your luggage in and out, but you really have to lift the luggage and then put it in. So there are also more tying hooks out here in the back. There are 3-4 more out here. There's also a 12-watt power socket. Also these seats fold in a ratio of 60:40, so you can do them from here itself. Let me show y'all that. But when you do that, there's also a step, so the seats actually go down and the boot is actually raised up. So when you put your luggage or something inside, there is a step, so when taking it out it's a bit of a problem. You can use that storage space at the bottom, which you can, you know, use to put, like, I don't know, some bags or something, smaller bags, of course, not the big ones. Also the boot opening is pretty big, so you know, you get quite a bit big sort of space to put your luggage in and out, but it's just that you have to raise it a little. Also you can swipe your feet and then, you know, open the tailgate. So the Lexus UX 200 competes with the German rivals like the BMW X1, the Mercedes GLA, the Audi Q3. So in order to compete with that, you really have to give a lot of attention to details, and I'm happy to report that the quality and the attention to detail inside this interior is bang on. In fact, it's even better than, you know, the German rivals. So to start off with the basic quality of materials, you get soft squidgy plastic materials on the dashboard, out here on the sides, on the door cards even, and then there are some plastic bits that they've provided. I don't know why, because it just sort of breaks the whole flow of it. And also the door card seems to be a little normal, you know, because then this whole half door where the door handle is, that seems to look a little plain, you know, something like a red, this black instead of red would have looked rather nicer, and then you get more red leather cover. There are also panels out here which are resembled to look like brushed aluminium, so even that has been provided in the dashboard. But the fit and finish, and you know, there is also a red stitching, and all of that looks really nice and plush and premium. But anyways, Lexuses are supposed to, you know, give you that sort of feel of, you know, the luxury and all, and they've done really well with that. Now coming to the center dashboard, so you get an information display in the center, because this is an F Sport, so you get a moving binnacle that goes around when you press the back button. So I can show you now, like, you know, the whole binnacle is moving, like physically moving, not the digital one where the animation happens on the screen. So it's like a real actual physical moving one, and that looks really cool. And then, you know, in terms of the information, you get the speedometer, which always stays in the center, and then you get various other information like your trip details, like, you know, how much fuel consumption you are doing, and also it will show me like if you want to have a blank screen, or if you want to see the tire pressure, or if you want to see the range. So it's very simple in terms of usage of that. And when I press the back button, and when that binnacle goes on to the right side, there are more detailed settings where I can change the meter settings, vehicle settings, you know, I can see the compass and all of that, and I can get more information basically on the left side of the screen. But it's a really quality screen. Now coming to the steering wheel is a leather covered, again with the red stitching, and it's actually a very good grippy one. And then there is an F Sport badging at the bottom. On your right side you would get the cruise control controls out here, and at the bottom there are also infotainment controls. Now all the Lexus pretty much have the split infotainment controls on both the sides, so you know, you use both your fingers. On the left side you would get your controls for the display information in the dashboard, which is your multi information display, so all the buttons on top for that. And at the bottom you get your communication buttons and also the volume buttons for the infotainment screen. So the steering wheel is electronically adjustable, 4-way, tilt and telescopic. Air conditioning system again has just the buttons, and then the entire system of the infotainment screen and the air conditioning controls are all angled towards the driver, so that it is just like a little easier when you are driving to access these buttons. So these air conditioning buttons are all physical buttons. That's good actually, and also you can control the air conditioning system from the infotainment screen also, but there are physical buttons, and that's a good thing. And this is a dual zone air conditioning system, and then there are two vents for the rear passenger for which you can just change the flow of air. That's pretty much about it. And surprisingly, there is heated seat option that has been given on both the driver and the passenger seat. I mean, I think cooling was a better option than the heated seat, but I don't know. Now coming to the infotainment screen. Now infotainment screen is a 10.3 inch big display. Now you would think that the moment you enter into the car, you would think that this is a touch screen, but this is not a touch screen, but instead is controlled using the trackpad out here. Now that trackpad, every Lexus car has this trackpad, and that trackpad is like your like a pointer on the screen with which you can select the different options on the infotainment screen. And there are also shortcut buttons for your menu, back, and the map buttons. But that trackpad is a bit of a fuzzy nature, when you are, especially when you're driving. It's a very distracting thing to use this infotainment screen. It's very unintuitive, and I don't know, it takes a while to understand how the whole thing works. And by the time you reach an option, so it keeps beeping, and there's also haptic feedback from the trackpad button. So whenever you reach that option, it vibrates to tell you that you selected that option. And also there's a bright selection on the screen. And also the screen can be splitted in two ways, so you can see two different information on the screen, your maps and the media and all of that on both the sides. So now in terms of the connectivity, you can connect to this infotainment screen using the Bluetooth. There's Apple CarPlay, there's Android Auto, there is also an auxiliary port, and there is also Lexus's own app with which you can download and mirror the screen on the infotainment screen. But also there are more controls for the infotainment screen out here, your radio volume, media, and changing the track and tune. But then there are just way too many buttons, and then you have to get used to how the whole thing works, and especially while driving, because you may tend to miss some of the times. I mean, I have tried it, and then it takes a bit of precision to operate this trackpad and also the buttons given out here. Also there are more buttons out here on the dashboard. If you see, they are sticking out from both the sides. So one is the dial to change the sport, normal, and the eco setting, and the other one is the traction control button. So it's just easier to switch on to these. I find them very useful when they are mounted out here, because it's just easy to remember and easy to switch to the different modes from here directly. Now you get a normal sunroof in the Lexus UX 200, but it is quite big enough, that is for sure. Now coming to the storage space, you get 1 liter worth of bottle storage in the door cards. Actually it's pretty small that way in terms of storage in the door cards. There are 2 cup holders out here. You can also, there is a storage underneath the air conditioning controls where you can put your phone, and there's like a rubber material that they've used that you can, so that the phones don't fall off when you have put it out there in that slot. And also there is a center storage in which again you can put like somewhat like a small half a liter of bottle, a small one out there. And then there is also a glove box which is decent enough in terms of its size. So, and you don't get any bottle options or storage options in the rear door cards. Now coming to the charging and the USB ports, so you get one 12 volt 120 watt power socket, and it's actually merged in the dashboard. It's in the center console actually, so you have to press it and open the port, and then when you don't want to use it, you can press it down and then it goes back inside. So it's a flat area which you can use to again store your phones. And there are also 2 USB ports out here in the center armrest and the auxiliary port out here. And then there is also 2 more USB ports for the rear passenger. So there are 4 USB ports, which is a good thing because this car is basically going to be used as a family car, and it's very important that you have a lot of USB ports. Now coming to the sound system, so you get 8 speaker premium sound system out here. There's also a subwoofer in the back, and the sound quality is actually pretty good when it comes to the sound. And then there's also a Lexus clock mounted right next to the infotainment screen. Now as a part of an F Sport package, you also get aluminum pedal set. These seats are again New Lux leather seats, and again red color. They are ventilated seats, but they are heated seats and not the cooled one. And they have this F Sport embossing on the headrest, and they have bolsters on the side, so that this is more like an F Sport package, so which is why you get these sort of sporty seats. And also they are pretty comfortable because they are leather seats. Now these seats are 8-way electronically adjustable and 2-way lumbar support for the driver, and 8-way electronically adjustable for the passenger seat, but no lumbar support or controls for the passenger seat. Now the driver's seat is actually in my driving position, and then there is just enough of leg room so that my knees don't hit the seat, but it's actually just about decent room to rest your legs. And also there's not enough room to slide your feet under the seat also, and if you see, there is enough of headroom, but if you are someone above 6 feet or 6 feet 3 inch, then you may struggle with the headroom because it's a sloping roof line in the back. And again, the seats are in the red colored Nulux leather. In the center there is a black patch that they've given for the middle row of seat, and again there is plastic door cards in the back with no storage space in the door cards, and there is no tunnel as such. Like there is a very small one, but it's not enough to hinder the middle passenger. So when I come in the center and sit, it's actually pretty comfortable. There is like a bit of a bump in the back, but in the where I'm actually sitting, there is no, on the bench side there is no bump, so it's relatively flat. It's only in the back that there is some bump. There are rear AC vents and also 2 USB ports, which I mentioned. There is also a handrest that you can drop down, and there are 2 cup holders out here, big ones, but they are not adjustable cup holders where they would just grip your cup. So if you put smaller cups, then they won't, they will be just dangling inside. So the Lexus UX 200 F Sport comes with a 2-liter 4-cylinder naturally aspirated petrol engine that produces 160 bhp and 205 newton meters of torque. Now it is mated to a world's first direct shift 10-speed CVT transmission. Now again, the CVT, how the response is, but I want to talk about the engine first, because the engine feels a little underpowered, and especially in a car which is this sort of big, but it's just a naturally aspirated and not even a turbo. I guess it was better if they had fitted a small turbo to this engine. That would have made a lot of difference in terms of the response, because there is torque, but it's just the eventual engine and the CVT combination that is a little bit on the sluggish side. Like you press the throttle, there's a lot of grumbling before it starts shifting gears, and then you can actually feel like the CVT changing gears, like real gears. So it's actually fascinating how they managed to get that thing done with a CVT. But there are also different modes that you can switch on in this UX 200, which is the sport mode and the eco mode. Wouldn't be talking about the eco mode obviously, because my favorite mode will obviously be a sport mode. Now when you put it in the sport mode, the dials obviously change. They become a little more sporty dials, and then when you slam the throttle, the thing is, F Sport is actually a very deceiving badge in the UX 200, because how the F Sport cars are. They are meant to be sporty, they are meant to be fast, they are just the top of the line Lexuses and the performance base. So in this, when I say F Sport, it's just that the suspension has been a little stiffened up. There are more sort of bits here and there that they have changed in terms of the seat, in terms of the steering response, and there is only very minimal things that has been changed. But when you press the throttle, you have this. So it improves the throttle response and it makes the car very sporty. But the best thing to do is to put it in a manual mode. Now when I put it in the manual, there are paddle shifters out here behind the steering wheel. Now forgive me, someone's doing burnouts out here right next to me, so I don't want to end up hitting them. So continuing, yes, so when I press, you see the shifts are snappy, like it's pretty quick, and the car becomes suddenly alive. Like yes, this is the perfect combination that you want to be in. Manual, sport mode, the car becomes super responsive. Now there is this button called as the ASC. It's like a sound that they put across from the speaker so as to make it sound little sporty. Now if I switch off the ESC button, you can see the sound has just gone. It's just disappeared. Like the sportiness, it's just the raw sound of the engine that is just I am hearing. Now when I press that ESC button again, yeah, it makes a very bassy effect from from the exhaust. It's not actually from the exhaust, it's just from the speakers that it is blasting those bassy effects, so that you feel like your car is very sporty, but it works nonetheless. Although just on the comfort mode, I wish the engine was a little powerful. Otherwise, in terms of the response when you want to overtake someone, that is going to be a bit of a struggle when you slam the foot hard. But because of the CVT, it gives you the advantage of having the best efficiency, which is anywhere between 13 to 14. So that is what this car can do, and that's pretty alright for a compact family crossover. So which is why, and when it comes to the suspension and the steering, this is just fabulous. Even the handling, all three of the factors are just amazing on this. In fact, this has such a small turning radius. I mean, it's like a hatchback. Also, the suspension are not too hard and not too soft. They are just in the right zone where you will have a comfortable drive and not very hard drive. But when you want the handling, it also has gotten that because of the setup. And the steering has a very good feedback, even though it's an electronic steering, but this is a very good one. Like I like how the steering system responds when I give it an input, and also there is immediate turning action also, and also there's a lot of feedback from the ground. I can feel like what is going on, so it's not very disconnected. Now coming to the brakes, they are all 4-disc brakes and they work very well. Now there is a bit of a noise that leaks from the windows around. There is a bit of wind whooshing that you will hear from both the windows out here and even on the rear side, and even general the sound buffering is not very good, because I can actually hear the engine noise leak into the cabin like quite a bit, because especially when you're trying to accelerate, yeah, there is quite a bit of sound that leaks into the cabin. The Lexus is actually pretty filled with the very standard safety system. So you get 10 airbags, so 2 for the driver and the passenger, which is the front airbag, 2 side airbags again for the driver and the passenger. There are 4 curtain airbags in the front and in the back in the pillars, and also there is a driver knee airbag and also a passenger knee airbag, I mean for the passenger. So that is pretty cool. So you get 10 airbags that way. There is also tire pressure monitoring system, there is ABS, there is EBD, there is also a single camera reversing system. The output from that is pretty alright, because the screen is very good, so the output is pretty decent, I would say. There are also child ISOFIX points, there is also vehicle stability system, there is also traction control system, there is also a whiplash system. And now coming to the pricing, so this UX 200 F Sport is priced at 185,000 dirhams. Now it's actually a pretty decent price if you ask me. Let me explain you, because it's a very decent German rival for sure, because you get the quality, the road dynamics and everything which is at par with the German rivals, and also the handling and the practicality and the comfort is very much like a sedan or a hatchback. Like it's pretty great actually most of the times, because if you are going to ferry around your family, then this is actually a very comfortable cruiser in my opinion, and it's a worthy option in the luxury compact crossover market. So, and the UX actually means the urban explorer, and this definitely is a very capable urban explorer, I would say. Anyways, that is pretty much it for this video. Give it a thumbs up if you liked it, and if you want to subscribe to my channel, then click here, and if you want to watch more videos, then click here. I shall see you in the next video. Bye bye and take care.